All right. So, first of all, thank you, Rob and Mike, for putting this together. This is awesome for me because it's pretty lonely, and I live in Italy, and there's not much of a, startup founder owning a multinational software company community. I trying to join that club. So far, one member. But come over. Anyways, I love it here. It's so great to be here. So thanks a lot. I just updated my slide. I love because it's like, really, Dad? He's already embarrassed by me. So, okay. So I did this sort of, making talks requires a huge amount of effort for me. It's pretty daunting. So when Rob asked me to come, I didn't, I almost said no because I didn't have time to do a proper talk. And then we thought about this. How about we do like a Reddit style, ask me anything, no, I can take it, don't be shy. And so we're doing that. And then I figured it's like, yeah, but that's kind of pretentious. And so first the obligatory slide, which is like, this is, one data point. I'm really nervous. There's a bunch of people in this room who have much better answers than I can possibly have. So this is one data point, whatever I answer. But also I thought that this could be a useful talk because tonight, when you want to break the ice, you don't know, you want to meet people, this could be a great icebreaker. Or, which one is the most dangerous if implemented, you can sort of mix it up a little bit. So yeah, huge grain of salt. And I have two more slides. One is like a list of questions that I could possibly answer in case there were crickets. And the first one is one that people ask me all the time, which is, how much money do you make, blah, blah, blah. So I made that one slide to just get it out of the system. And so this is the history. We are 11 employees now. Oh, it's broken. Oh, how do I do that? Oh, there's little faces down here. Oh, well. Oh, bummer. This is quarter by quarter, since I launched as a solo founder in 2008, June 2008. Actually, this is the launch. This was the founding of the company. And so the green is the revenue and the quarterly revenue and the blue. And the green is the profits. So it's going great. It's going really well. The two interesting things about this graph are this point right here, where we got hit with a ton of taxes. Well, it's interesting because in Italy, when you start a company, first of all, you have to have 10,000 euros to deposit because otherwise it would be too easy. And then after 6 months, you pay taxes for that 6 months plus all the taxes for the next year, just in case. And so we got boom. I didn't know that part. And so that's the story of that first line. If that wasn't enough, the second one was we came pretty close to being acquired. And we decided to go independent. And so sort of I did a counter offer to stay independent. And part of that offer was you all get half of your salary as a bonus right now if you were down with staying independent. And so because they were going to get a lot of cash if we sold, right? Like, I can't give you that much cash, but I can give you some cash right now because we have it in the bank. And so that's why that almost went negative for a little bit. But then it's fine. And first quarter is always the most profitable because it's less taxes, et cetera. So it's going to go down. Profitability is going to go down. But anyway, it's going well. So this is the list of questions minus the bottom ones. Oh, well. But before we even get to these, this is, stuff. But if you have anything, I think Rob is going to run around with the mic. I'm here. I mean, really, this is an hour of just chatting. So who's first?
I have a question.
Oh, here's Rob first. He has the mic already.
Cookie in my mouth, sorry. I wanted to get in first. Question is, Was there a single marketing approach that you used early on that you felt really jump-started your business? And if so, what was it? And if not, was it just, a whole bunch of things?
Okay, so there's this blog post that I wrote that is very popular called Startup Marketing Advice from Balsamiq Studios. And I know that Patrick McKenzie even still sends people to it. And that was sort of like a little bit of inbound marketing. I was reading a little bit about that. The Ramesh book wasn't out yet, so I was sort of gathering stuff about that. Meaning, try to give your software character. And so, with that sketchy line was kind of new, nobody knew about it, and it was immediately recognizable, and people were like, oh, how did you do this? So it was, the software itself helped sell itself. Then when I did on the online version, I had a little, you can download the image, but it adds a little watermark says built with Balsamiq. So, put a little marketing in the product itself. Then what did I do? I contacted some bloggers. I started answering people's, I looked on Twitter and RSS for people who had the same problem, and I injected myself into the conversation, which you gotta thread really carefully because you don't want to spam, right? Now I see my competitors doing it, and it looks kind of sad. But you're desperate for attention, nobody knows you. If you think that what you're offering is exactly what they're looking for right now, why not tell them, right? And then there's a few other systems. It wasn't a very, I was trying things out. But I think that part of the reason it was successful is, first of all, the software was focused pretty good, even at the beginning, even though it was pretty rough. But I think one part that, then I had the best about page ever, of course. But, no, really, the honesty and the fact that, the version 1 was crappy. And I knew it, and everybody knew it, but I needed people's feedback, right? So I gave it away for free in exchange for feedback as much as I could. I gave it to bloggers because they like to write. And then I give them another copy to give away to their readers so that they look good, right? And so we got a ton of blogs posts about that. And in fact, I was telling somebody, on the buy page at the beginning, you went to the buy page, and it says, hold on, don't buy it. You probably can get it for free if you blog about it, if you demo it to 15 people, if you're a do-gooder, if you're a nonprofit, blah, blah, blah. And then you had to scroll down to see, actually, I want to buy it. So, because at the beginning, feedback is much more important. And so by building that feedback, I built that community. I also started getting more attention. So that sort of all, I think, happened. But I think overall the product is the vast majority. It was useful and it saved people time, money. So I think that's the most important thing. All right, you had a question, somebody?
Sure. In the early days, how did you know when you were ready to make the leap, and how did you, I guess, find the courage to scrape by on savings and through the hard times in the beginning?
Okay, so my previous career, I was a Micromedia, then we became Adobe, and at some point I was there. So I graduated in Italy, then I moved there. After maybe 2-3 years, I was getting some my head was getting big because I wrote I co-authored the O'Reilly book on this. I was really full of myself. So I was like, oh, maybe I can do this entrepreneur thing. And so I got this book called You Have to Be a Little Crazy, The Truth About Starting Your Company. It's a tiny little book. I made it to page 16, and I'm like, no. This is nuts. This is not for me. And that was really, really important because had I jumped there at that point, I would have failed immediately. So that bought me 4 more years at Adobe of trying to learn as much as possible until I reached a point where I was teaching more than I was learning. And so that's one sign. Another sign is I started reading all these business books and whatever, all the Spolsky books, all the Bob Walsh and the Eric Sink, and this is before Eric Ries, he was still in school, I guess. So I read all this stuff, and all of a sudden I started realizing that Guy Kawasaki. I started realizing that I was getting conflicting advice from these experts. And that was also a bell, because I'm like, wait, so which one is it? And how am I going to find out? These are the experts, right? So I realized one day that I was like, this is as much as I'm going to learn from the books. And this is about after maybe 30, 40 books. So it's not after years, right? So that happened. And then I was like, maybe it's time to jump. And there were a lot of things that just happened all at the same time that told me it's now or never. But when I decided to make the move, I said, okay, I'm going to finish this project that I'm working on at Adobe, which is going to launch. This was September 2007. This was going to launch in April 2008. It's like, okay, between now and April, I knew it was going to be late because they're always late. So I thought between now and May or June to get something ready, because I wanted to ship that thing that I loved, that I worked on, and be proud of that, and then I could leave. And so I started working nights and weekends, every night, 8 p.m. to midnight. And even if you're fried, it's amazing how much you can do. And then I would work Sunday mornings. So in a way, Adobe funded my company, right? And it's you have to be careful with that. But one of my employees just released his first iPhone little app. So I'm really proud of that. So during that time, I sold all my stocks. I stopped putting money in 401k. I started amassing all the cash that I could possibly amass. Then we moved back to Italy, which was cheaper for us to live. And so I had a year worth of savings when I launched. And that made it easier for me. And I never burned any bridges. I mean, I was pretty much sure I had to move back or do consulting or, to pay the bills. But then I was lucky enough that it shot up.
So two-part question. One is, when and kind of how did you know when it was time to make your first hire? And secondly, I guess from a compensation point of view, how do you compete as a bootstrap company with, startups that are venture funded, have a ton of cash, and have that possibility of exit? Do you do profit sharing? Do you still offer equity in your company, even though there's less likelihood of acquisition or IPO, that sort of thing? Okay,
so first part was, when did you know when to hire the first person? So I launched in June, and it started going well, and it was great, until it wasn't great anymore because it was too much. I got to about 3,000 customers on my own, and at that time, that was maybe 6 months later. And at that time, I was doing sales support and tech support all week, and then coding in the weekend. And I did, because that was the only quiet time that I had. And I did that for 6 weeks or more, actually. And that took a toll on me and my family. It's not fun. Until one day, I woke up sweating, thinking, if I don't hire somebody today, I'm going to die. I'm serious. It wasn't about going bankrupt. It was about physical flatline. And it was my body. What I'm trying to say was my body telling me, not my brain. And I've learned to listen to that because it's dangerous if you don't. And so luckily, I had already sort of met the guy Marco, who became my first employee. And I did the indecent proposal. He had to quit his job, which is a big deal because in Italy, once you have a job, that's for life. Nobody can move you, even if you. And so, yeah, he had a stable job. He had to do a lot of explaining to his family to quit his job and go follow this crazy guy. And I said, I have 1 year's salary in the bank of your salary, so I can promise you that I'm going to pay you for a year, and then we'll see. And then he said, okay, but what if it doesn't work? And that's where I realized that I was crazy, because I was like, it cannot not work. I was like, what do you mean it doesn't work? It's gonna work. And so, so that's the first part. Second part, competing with VC-funded startups, et cetera. Well, one way is to go to Italy, where there is no, I am the most exciting thing they've ever seen. So that helps. But I guess do we have these policies? Oh, yes, here, we're covering some ground. We have a salary policy that says you're going to get paid more than your same job in your geographical area. So I want to make sure that you're not looking around for the same job in your area. And so that's just the base. So basically, it removes the salary out of the picture because it's good. It's better than anything else that I can find nearby. And so we pay well, in short. The second thing is I've never given equity out because I haven't gotten around to it. It's a complicated subject. But we do profit sharing. And so when I hired Marco, I said, I'm going to give you 2% of profits every quarter. And then once we started hiring more and more people, that was going to become like 30% of the company of the profits, and that was kind of reckless. So now we have a policy that says there's a 10% of profits, and they get split up between the employees based on seniority, so how long they've been in the company, not based on their job or their base salary. It's because everybody's helping the same way, different levels, but. And so we have profit sharing and that. So the other thing is I don't really compete with the VC thing, with this VC-funded startups because we're different beasts altogether. Right? When I hire someone, I always tell them, listen, this is a company where you arrive. It's not really a starting point. I mean, you're going to learn a lot. I'm going to do my best to make you learn as much as possible, but first of all, we're all distributed, so you need to be independent. So you need to be senior before you even consider joining. So, and then we're never going to get sold. That's not the plan. So equity is really not worth much. We'll give you cash every quarter instead. And for some of the employees, this is like as much as their base salary. So it's a big deal. And so I guess it weeds out the people. We're really upfront with it about it, and so far it's worked out okay. So I see hands. While we do that, can I? There's a couple of things I want to tell you because they're fun. Can I pick two? Hold on, Justin, just a second.
Sure.
One is Pci Compliance. So there's this big myth that is so hard and painful. It's like security theater, right? You go on, there's this website, you say yes on all the questions, even if they're ridiculous. And so I was like, really, do I have to say yes? And they said, yes, because it doesn't apply to you now, but if you say yes, it means that you understand that should it apply in the future, you have read the paragraph. So it's like, don't be scared of PCI compliance. It's a total ridiculous thing. And $30 a year, you go online, 20 minutes. You're welcome.
I wanted to ask you, you've been radically transparent from the word go, and people have been copying you and doing exactly what you're doing from the word go. How have you negotiated that, and has it ever worried you that people do exactly what you do?
You mean the transparency thing or the actual software?
The fact that they've copied your software, they've copied your marketing techniques, they've pretty much copied everything that you do, and has it ever affected your business? Has it ever hurt your revenue?
It did affect the business, but it made it better. There's this quote from Jason Calacanis about welcoming your competitors to the race because no one wants to watch a one-horse race. Right? So the minute they showed up, my revenue went up. Because it cemented us as the leader. It was obvious that they were doing it for money, we're doing it for passion. Right? It's clear. Now we have somebody people can compare. Every time they get a review, it gets compared to us. Right? It's not a big deal. I mean, but it's pretty funny. I mean, one company in the data grid, if people are familiar with mockups, I can tell this story. In the data grid, it has some pre-filled in data, which is my name, my age, blah, blah, blah. So this company shipped the data grid with Giacomo Guilizzoni in it. I'm like, dude, come on. So if that's the competition, I'm not so worried. Or another guy, it was funny because like, we moved the release from Saturday to Tuesday, the release day of the week, because I had employees I didn't want to ask them to work on Saturdays. And so we moved to Tuesday. 2 weeks later, this other company, oh, we moved the release to Tuesday. I was like, really? So it's flattering, really. It's flattering. You shouldn't worry about it. Just like for the serial number generators, the cracks, and seriously, do not worry about that stuff. In fact, they go hand in hand. If I put them on a line, I get RSS, like Google Alerts for Balsamiq, right? And so half of them are like, crack, download, blah, blah, blah. And like, first of all, you download like 1 gig of stuff. Like, that can't be good. My stuff is like 2 megabytes. Like, really, you should stay away from that part. And then I noticed that like, the more we get these, the more the revenue goes up. So if they start slowing down, I'm going to start worrying. They have to go together. All right. Is that? Hope that answers. If there.
Me. Hi.
Oh, hi.
Hey. Can you tell me about 16? So how your job became more staff support and the shit umbrella?
Shit umbrella. Yeah, I don't remember where I saw it. Just a couple of weeks ago, I saw in this article off of Hacker News that my job is shit umbrella, right? So this is a recent thing. My job has changed dramatically every 3 months. So now when I say forever, it really means the next 3 months. I can't plan further than that because it's been so a completely different world every time. First I was like webmaster, and then I was programmer, and then I was marketing guy, and then SEO guy, and then this and that. So right now, this is my job right now. I have 11 employees, 10 employees plus me, and my job has shifted. I can no longer do customer support, which I'm sad, I miss it. But we have 2 people doing sales support and 2 people doing tech support, and we have 80,000 plus customers. So we're pretty lean, it's fine. But with the 10 employees, I've noticed that my time has to be dedicated to them, and that fills up my time. Spolsky told me a couple years ago that the way he sees the CEO is at the bottom of the inverted pyramid, right? And he says, your job as the CEO is to go in every morning and say to the team, what do you need? That's it, what do you need? And I love that. I love that. I've been doing that. You know, I remove blocks. I can't possibly try to control what happens. I can sort of set the strategy or say, you know, maybe this is less important than that. Why don't you postpone that? But really, I take out the trash work and support the team So and I do the shit umbrella because the shitty stuff goes. I'm like, okay, give it to me. Don't spend too much time on it. I'll handle the shit. Because in the time that it takes me to handle the shit, they can deal with another 50 customer supports, right? So that's my job right now. I'm liking it. I'm learning it. I don't know how much longer it can scale. I think I'm about at the threshold where if I hired 1 more or 2 more people, it would be too much. Because with 10 people, if I even dedicate 1 hour a week to each employee, that's already 10 hours, which is a fourth of my working time. So now I'm reading up on. Actually, maybe if you have ideas about this, I'm reading up on how to keep a flat structure even at scale. I read the Valve employee handbook that came out. I'm reading about Gore-Tex, because they have 200 people and no managers. So I'm starting to read a bit of documentation on that. Maybe if you have any tips, let me know. Did I answer it? I hope I did. Okay.
Hi, you've been very transparent on lots of things, your revenues, and you had an outage a little while ago, and you're very transparent about that. Is there anything that you wouldn't be transparent about, or where do you draw the line there?
Well, there's some things where you're contractually, you have to do, you cannot talk about. Like the acquisition, I already told more than I've ever told, and I can't talk more about that because I signed. Another one is, there is a sort of a bias where you tend to want to share the good news and not the bad news, right? And some people are better than others. That I do have that bias. I don't like to air my problems in public. But I should probably do more. What we do say is like we never talk about competition, about our competitors directly. Maybe these jokes here and there, but I didn't say who they were or whatever. Because it's better if somebody else talks about it. I don't know. It's a judgment call. You don't have to be transparent just because. The reason I was so transparent at the beginning was because it was just me, and I needed to sell to large corporations. And so would you, whatever, Apple, Cisco, whatever, would you buy from a single guy who's probably, like, it's a hobby, right? I wouldn't. That'd be crazy, right? And so that's why I put on the About page, like, okay, listen, it is me, but I have these advisors, and I'm making money. It seems like I'm going to stick around, right? So that's why I started sharing it. And then it became this big deal. Yeah, totally. The one thing we do is we develop mockups in public. As soon as we have an idea for a feature, well, first of all, 90% of them come from our customers anyways. But we mock it up and we put it online on the forums, saying, this is how we're thinking of building it. What do you think? And that does two things. First of all, it buys you time. Because you're like, oh, yeah, I'm working on it. And so you have like 3 or 4 months where you can, it's in discussion. So if you don't have time, this is a secret little trick. Oh, yeah, we're working on it. Look, I made a mock-up. So yeah, give me your feedback. But actually, it's great. We've done it for a few of the big features, and it's great because our customers use mockups a lot more than we do. We don't have time. We're busy making it and supporting it, right? And so, of course, your feedback is more important than even my own sometimes because you live in it. And then if you put it out, there's all these people who have different use cases. They come from different industries or what have you. And so they help you shape the feature in a way that's going to be really a lot more useful to everybody. And I always make this joke, which is like competing on features is very 90s. Don't compete on features. I mean, software is maturing really, really rapidly, right? Soon, there's going to be, for every problem, there's going to be 2, 3 software solutions that pretty much have the same features, right? One person gets there first, but everybody in the end has the same, because that's the nature of, the problem solved. And so once that happens, and one of these is going to be free and open source, right? Once that happens, what's your solution? Why should you stay in business once that happens? And you have to start asking yourself that immediately before you even start, because it's going to happen, right? Unless you pick a niche that nobody cares about, well, then you have other problems because nobody cares about it, right? And so, like on the website, we said from day one, we compete on usability and customer service, which are things that are hard to do. And usability for us is a big word. It's not just how easy the software is to use, but also how good the website is and the documentation, and we understand you. That's what that means. Better than anyone else. Like we give dinner recipes, for crying out loud. Did you know about this? I'll tell you later maybe. But anyways, that's one. And then customer service, because it's hard to do. The bar is pretty low, first of all. But it's hard to do, and that's going to be hard to do even if everybody else has the same features. And now the last one we're doing, I added a third one now that we have a web app, which is I want us to be known for reliability. And we have a long way to go about that. But I think that if we deliver these 3 things, we're in business. If somebody comes out with a mock-up app that has better usability, customer service, and reliability, they deserve to win.
Well, hold on. I have the mic back here.
Oh.
Hi, can you talk about number 46, people who want to partner?
Oh, yeah. Yes. So if you're successful, well, I don't know if you noticed, but these are kind of about growth, the growth phase. It's not really mostly about starting up. So I get these emails all the time about, hey, I saw you did a plugin for Atlassian or Fog Creek or Google. How about doing a plugin for my thing? I haven't even launched yet. And I get like 5 of these a week. And so you got to have some sort of policy because, well, first of all, you have to make it, if you had an API, that would help. But it's tricky, right? Because if I just open the doors to anybody, they make a crappy integration, my brand gets hurt, right? So like I spent a week trying to draft this legal document integration that sort of protected us, made it more open and protected our brand a little more, like I had to approve the integration. So we're heading that direction. But for now, I have this policy that says, you have to be, growing. There has to be some other commercial plug-in to your system that is successful. We don't want to be the first. And this is sort of cheeky, but I would say you have to be somebody that we look up to. And so that cuts out a lot of people. So it's a problem. It's an area that I don't have figured out yet. But I wanted to mention it because if you're successful, you're going to get different kinds. Even, also vultures who just like, oh, you don't want to be acquired? How about we partner? And maybe they're much bigger than you, and it's tough to say no. But if you say yes, that could derail you completely, right? There was this big company that was like, we want a customized version just for our community. And we're like, I can't do that. I can't branch. That's ridiculous. I can't. We have 4 people at the time. Like, well, with the money you're going to make from this, you can hire 2 more people. Like, yeah, but I got to manage them down. And like, that's not what I wanted to do. And so I guess think about the partnering ecosystem, because having partners is good. We get a lot of traffic from all the different integrations that we do, and they're good customers because they pay more. So it's good to have them, but it could also drown you. So think about it.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Well, that's it? Oh.
We have time for 4 more questions.
Wait, I have one. The awards. Did you know about software awards? So there's one where you're pretty much guaranteed to get the award if you apply, because the application is $5,000. So that's one. So when you see that one, it starts with a B, it ends with an alt. Another one, they give you an award without telling you anything, but then they call you to discuss the licensing of their GIF for your website. So yeah, that was one of them. I wanted to talk about that.
So are you still having as much fun now as you did in year 1?
Fun. Huh. Yes. Yes, because 2 things. One is the main reason I'm doing this, and I think it's helped a lot, is because this is all a learning experiment. This is me continuing to read the books in a sense. I want to learn what it takes to build a software business. That's why I started by myself. I wanted to see all that it took. Right? I didn't want to be able to pass the buck about anything. And so that's why, because I did it for learning, and I always had a plan B to go back and be a programmer in a big company, which is a great job. I loved it. It's a great job. You get to be surrounded by smart people, and you just do coding without having to deal with crap, and you're free to fail and learn. I don't know why people diss the big company so much. It's just awesome. Anyways, so that's why I was able to do some sort of crazy decisions, like I'm just going to be upfront about everything, because I know that I have a backup plan, right? So that was good. The other thing is that, so yes, I'm having fun in the sense that I still don't know what I'm doing most of the time, and it's a crazy, awesome feeling, because I'm like, I don't know, we got to figure it out, right? And it's always been like that for 4 years. I've never learned so much like the last 4 years. It's awesome. I'm sure you understand. And the other thing is that I have an ability to make myself like stuff, which, because somebody's going to do it. And so like, okay, let's see if I can make myself like it by, I don't know, finding an angle that, I don't know. I'm sure you guys do that too, to an extent, I guess. But then if I see that I neglect something that is crap and I'm doing a shitty job at something, that's a good sign to find somebody to hire, even part-time as a contractor or whatever, that loves that stuff, that's what they love about, right? And they're going to do a better job. I always say hire people smarter than you. They're not going to be smarter in everything. You're the generalist, but they're going to be better than you at the thing you hired them to do. And then you can just watch them run and ask them what you need every day. And it's fun.
You said that you said that earlier. A lot of your wardrobe consists of shirts and things like that. So you've gotten to conferences. You basically wear all that stuff all the time. If I give you something now, will you wear it?
Of course, yeah,
All
no
right.
problem.
Now, I mean.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. Oh yeah, yes, I've been wanting one of these. I love the mail shipping hats. What's the next question before? I can't hear anything. Though.
Okay. I'm curious about the process of developing your web app, how you guys came to that decision. I think it did take a little bit longer maybe than you expected. And then also, how is adoption going with that?
All right, so when I started, I lived in San Francisco Bay Area. I was web this, web that. It's got to be the web. Of course, it's going to be the web. So when I started, I said, I am going to build just a plugin for Confluence, the Atlassian Wiki, because that's a hosted, either hosted or you're hosted yourself. So it's a web app, right? I never thought I would make a desktop app, because who uses desktop applications anymore? Nobody, right? Of course, during my friends and family beta, people were like, well, actually, I don't use Confluence, but I still want it, blah, blah. So that's when my business plan didn't survive the first impact with customers. I had to give in after 2 weeks. I was like, it's just me. I can't have a lot of customers. I can't support you. I want few big customers, right, that work on the web, which is the future. I had to give in. And now desktop, I'm a shareware guy in 2012, right? Ridiculous. But they buy a shitload of software. So it's still a way. It seems like Microsoft was right about this one, which is not necessarily software as a service. It's software plus service, right? I feel like in the future, Apple's doing the same thing, right? You have the desktop software with all the stuff, and it syncs to the cloud. And you have a cloud editor that maybe is a little limited, and then you have a mobile editor that's a little. It seems like that's what everybody has to do right now, and we're working towards that. I totally forgot the question. Oh, yes. So immediately people were like, oh, but I want a web app. And I was like, dude, it's me. I can barely keep up with the desktop app, which is a one-time install, take it, see you later. I can't possibly think of managing a website. I want to be able to go on vacation, okay? And so I said, no web app, nothing. Then a year and a half later, it became the big thing that people wanted. More people. And I saw some competition actually started to gain ground just on that angle. And so we're like, let's try it. And so I hired this guy part-time, and I thought it was something that we could do on the side, and it would take 3 months, right? That was so wrong. So we wrote it and rewrote it and this and that, and then so 6 months of that. Then we started to get serious, so I hired a guy full-time. Luis is based in Paris. And then even after that, it took about a year until it was good. The problem was that this was it was a little bit of second product syndrome, where we couldn't do an MVP. It could not be crappy, because we already had thousands of customers that told their friends how good we were, right? And so I talked to Jason Cohen about that while we were building it, and he was like, don't ship it. Wait until it's good. What's the pressure? You're getting money. You have time. There's no competition that's stealing your, so take your time. And so great, that took another year after that. So, but we did one thing right, which is we went gamma. This is a term I'm trying to push. So it's after the beta, right? So this is good actually because, I'm getting hot. So gamma is a paid beta. Gamma is a launch. You launch everything except for the sign-up page. The sign-up page you keep a secret. And you send people to the secret sign-up page, and you decide how quickly. We had a mailing list on the thing. If you want to be notified, put your email here. It took us so long that we ended up having 8,000 names in there. And so we're like, okay, let's try to invite 100 of those. And that helps you test, and they're paying. So it tells you if it's worth paying, It's these people who are totally eager will actually pay. That helps you scale up your documentation, scale up your support, your service. And so we did a gamma for about 6 months before it was good enough and we felt like we were ready. And on launch date, we were able to say, hey, there's already 250 people who have been paying for this for 6 months, which for new customers is a great story to have. Of course, it was still too early. This was November. The release we did now polishes off the biggest rough edge that we had, but we still have a lot of work to do. It's pretty good. The traction is good. It's making, last month it made $25,000, and it's growing about $5,000 a month right now, even in a scrappy state. So, and we haven't done very much marketing at all because it was too crappy. I wasn't proud of it. But now that it's getting better, we'll push a little bit on that, and we'll see how it goes. It's fun. We use it already. We use it for our internal team, so it's our favorite way to collaborate. So try it out.
All right, we're going to do 2 more.
What are your criteria for the services that you pay for? And do you use virtual assistants to augment your staff from time to time?
Okay, the second question is, do you use virtual assistants? No, but I'm totally fascinated by Rob and Ruben. They had, I don't know how to do it. I'm going to ask them. Yeah, it's something that it scares me because I'm like, how do I know that they're, isn't it going to take me longer to train them than to actually do the job? But like, I know that they do it incredibly well. Like they do nothing all day, really. And spend no money. So no, I don't, but I can't wait to see the movie. The first question is, how do you know what to pay for? What to pay for? It's pretty obvious. I mean, the tools that stick and we rely on, of course I want to pay for them. I was so mad that I couldn't pay for Pivotal Tracker for so long, because if it's free, it's probably not going to last. So I kept tweeting about them. Hey, can I pay now? And so they still got acquired, but it seems like so far it's going to stick around. We don't pay for Yammer, but I know they make their money another way. So it's pretty clear. The value proposition is clear. The desk.com used to be called Assistly. We love that stuff. It cut down our emails like 2,000 emails less every month just by having that system. So it's pretty obvious. I don't know if that answers it more or less. It's got to be made by people that we like also. That's important to me. Like I always look at the About page wherever I go. And there's this quote that says, I like to do business with businesses my size. And whenever that is possible, I do prefer that. Because it's, like we use WP Engine because it's Jason. I'm like, if the shit goes down, I can call Jason, right? And that's very important. Try to call, Google. You can still reach some of them. You just post on Hacker News and then they reply. That's their support channel. Okay, last one.
This one, yeah.
Oh, I hope this was useful. I'm going to be around, so any questions? Later.
How do you deal with global teams? Particularly the friction of not having everybody in the same box around a table.
Okay, so it's tricky, but it's not impossible. This was one of the things that I irrationally started saying, I'm not going to worry about where people are. I just want the best that I can find, and they can work from wherever they are. This was one of the things that I was like, I'm going to do this. No, I'm not going to worry about how painful it is. And that was a good thing that I did that. Same thing for moving to Italy and having a multinational, right? Because I have a company in the US. I started there, and then I moved to Italy, and I had to start a company there to hire people locally, blah, blah, blah. And that was a huge, ridiculous pain in the butt, because you go to accountants, and they're like, wait, you have customers in 78 countries, and it's just you, and you have a multinational? They're like, you don't exist. The laws have to catch up here. So that was painful. But yeah, those were a couple of the things where I was like, I don't want to hear how bad it's going to be. I'm just going to do it. I don't know why, because I think I like the idea. But so far, the global team has worked out. We use Skype for instant messaging, and that's nice because it can quickly escalate to audio, video, screen sharing without having to call back, blah, blah, blah. We use Yammer. That's our office, really. It's internal Twitter, and that's where we share everything that happens. Sometimes they're jokes, sometimes it's what I'm working on. And we have these couple of strategies. We can't possibly have a stand-up meeting every morning because the concept of morning doesn't really exist. And so what happens is that as soon as, when everybody wakes up, they start thinking, what am I going to do today? And they put that on Yammer and with the hashtag agenda. And so first I see the German guy, he wakes up early, so as I go to work, I see that is what he's going to work on, and then the Italians, and then New York wakes up at about my lunchtime, and then California wakes up as I'm about to leave. And so that's our stand-up meeting, basically. I can tell what everybody's working on every day, and everybody else knows that too. And now we just started doing a weekly agenda. Every Monday, you say, here, it's a wiki page that everybody has, and it says what I'm planning on doing this week, what I did last week, and then it shifts down every week. And that's a good one because I can then see, why are you working on that this week? Move that to next week. And there's also like a on-deck list on everybody, so like projects that might come in the future. And that's really nimble and simple, and it works. But you have to get the senior people that can run on their own, right? And I've noticed that there are advantages of having a developer and a tester that work together being not 9 hours apart, for sure. The feedback loop has to be tighter. So I'm trying to maybe shift jobs around a little bit so that happens more. But like for sales support, admin, and even tech support, it's good to have people spread around because we never sleep, right? So it's not impossible. Right now, maybe we'll go faster if we were all together, but also we want to have people. We don't want to ever shut down. Jason says, be honest, say that we are all in Texas, so we're going to be awake in Texas time. Some mornings I'm like, come on, Jason, wake up. So as a web app especially, I want us to be able to be global because people are everywhere. On that bombshell.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Peldi.
Thank you.